stream, then I think the audio is fine. So like I think as long as people can hear what we say, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter too much like what we actually look like. So if there's a lag on either side, then we are aware of it. But we're live streaming cross continent, so deal with it. All right. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, introduce yourself to the people so they know who you are.
Absolutely. Hello, boys. My name is Ephraim. I currently live in San Francisco, California, originally from the Bay Area. I worked with Kristian in May of 2023. Kristian brought me through his boot camp. At the time, he was offering a month course. And so flew out to Poland, worked with Kristian for a month. And the biggest or the easiest summary would be before meeting Kristian, I was struggling to get a date lined up. I was aggressively swiping through dating apps. And after meeting Kristian, I completely was able to transform my dating life, getting multiple dates a week. And now I just use the skill set when needed or as needed. So whenever I feel as though I want a date, I go out and I can most often generate a date. And oftentimes, actually, it happens when I don't want it to happen. She just happens to be there, and I decide to get over my fear and go over. So, and then, yeah, the biggest testament to Kristian's legitimacy is after working with him, I literally created an entire YouTube channel where I teach guys the exact same thing. So Kristian's so good at what he does, he can teach other guys how to teach other guys. And I think that's just a different level of skill set. So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I know when we spent that time together in Warsaw, we discussed a lot of different things. It wasn't just related to cold approach, but I could tell that you had this drive inside of you to do something different with the skill set. Like you're interested in social media, personal branding, helping other guys unlock the skill set. So it's been really cool to see your channels transform over the past year. You're like 1.5 thousand subscribers now, which is pretty insane, considering you didn't have a channel like a year ago. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something interesting there. You've integrated the skill set into your life now, but like you were saying something along the lines of you're able to get dates without essentially trying, like being more like detached from the overall result now. So I think that's quite an interesting topic for guys because there might be guys listening to this and maybe they're in the position that you were in when we first started working together, when dates are hard to come by. So like how were you able to shift from being more needy to get dates and get validation and get the gratification that comes along with meeting women to now not really needing it anymore? I'm curious about that, how that actually played out for you.
Yeah, so I'll extrapolate on this, but one word, and it's action. So I remember when I worked with you, I was very aggressive with the building of the skill set. I was very aware that all I needed to do in Poland was build the skill set, get as many reps under my belt as possible, so that when I went back to San Francisco, I would be that much more prepared. Yeah, having done 10 approaches versus 100 versus 1,000 approaches, that's a very different position to be in. And so once I came back to the States, I continued applying the skill set more or less how we were doing it in Poland. Now, not nearly as regimented and not nearly as consistently, but still pretty much on a daily basis. I was going in for 2 to 3. If I skipped a day, the next day I'd do 5 or so. And this was just me trying to build the skill set on my own, me trying to go in for the approach without Kristian by my side. And I mean, you can imagine you do that for a year and a half where you're approaching on average 2 to 3 girls a day, and it turns you into a different kind of a person. So of all of the women that I had approached, a decent number of them liked me enough to give me their phone number. And then a few of those that gave me their phone number liked me enough to go out on a date with me. So you can imagine I've generated so many leads at this point that I no longer felt the need to go out and get the date anymore. I felt, like you mentioned, I felt validated enough having had all of these dates behind me, right? All these dates under my belt, that I no longer started feeling the need to go out and generate the date like I did previously. And by the way, I'll pause here. I can recognize that this is somewhat of a heinous statement that I can get dates on accident, because even a year and a half ago, I mean, I could have never said anything close to that statement. But I truly mean it. And I've got videos to show for it of times where, let's say, I brought my mom to the gym on a Thursday afternoon. And by the time I got back home to skate from my car to my apartment, I was able to find a girl that liked me without trying, right? This was just me going home. But I happened to pass a girl that I was like, whoa, she was cute, and walked right over to her, got a date lined up, and then ended up seeing her later that day or later that week. And that's what I mean by on accident. It's just so insane to me to be able to just go outside without the intention. Before, my whole life was full of intention, but it was the wrong intention. It was dating apps for 10 hours a day. It was spamming girls on Instagram, DMing girls on Instagram for 5 hours a day. And it was a bunch of intention with little result. Whereas now, it's almost zero intention. I'm just going out living my life. But because I've become such a magnetic and socially capable person, I can go out with zero intention and come home with 100 result. So yeah, I think it's really cool to be in this position.
Mm. So yeah, you've unfucked your dating life, which is great. How has like unfucking your dating life spilled over into the rest of your life? Because I try and make people aware that when you're learning this skill of cold approach and you're able to get dates on demand, getting dates by accident, which I think is a great headline. I'll probably use that in a future live stream. I think people sometimes don't truly internalize the spillover effect for the rest of your life. And I think it's good to make people aware of like how integral getting the dating side of life is to your overall fulfillment in life as a man, right? Because you can have the money, you can have the status, you can have the success, but if you're going home every night and you're on your own, it's like what are you doing all of these different things for? You know, you've got the materialistic trophies, you've got the status symbols, and that's nice. It might impress other men, but like when you get home at the end of the day, it's like, oh fuck, I don't have anybody to share this experience with, or I feel lonely, I feel lost, whatever. So, like, how has unfucking your dating life through cold approach affected the rest of your life, if that makes sense?
Oh, makes tons of sense. I think I can actually answer this one categorically. So when it comes to how did it affect my life, my social life, when it comes to just my friends, my boys that I hang out with. So it made me the initiator as far as my social life. So coming back from Poland, having initiated all of these conversations with all of these beautiful women that months prior I would have considered far out of my league, having done that so many times, it allowed me to come back to the States. And now, in the friend group that I had, first of all, I kicked those guys to the curb anyways. But the new friend group I was able to cultivate a few months after leaving Poland, and then once I moved here to the Mission District. So all of the friendships came as a result of me initiating. I can think of a guy that I ended up hanging out with a ton. I ended up lining up, literally lining up dates for the guy. We went on a few instant dates with different girls, different groups of girls. And that's one thing that changed. I'm lining up dates for my friend. I mean, that's to me that's insane. I was never that guy who could line up dates for myself. And now I've gotten myself to a point where I could do it for my friend on the spot, right? We're going out. I had spy glasses on and I'm able to generate dates on the spot. I mean, it's still crazy to even talk about. But aside from the dating portion, initiation was the key. So the friendships themselves, I initiated all of them. This guy in particular, I walked over to him at the gym and asked him like, "Oh, can I use this machine after you?" And that just sprouted into a friendship right there. Some other guys I see in this district called North Beach. Now they're some of my really good friends. We play basketball together and drink together, go out together. I met them at a bar playing pool, but same thing. They were out on the patio. I walked out. Hey, can I bum a cigarette? But it's that same magnetic energy, right? It's like the version of me that would have tried to initiate these friendships before. One, I probably wouldn't have done it, but two, I would have been it would have been coming from a different place, more of a neediness kind of a place. Whereas already having been validated by these women in different countries, it allowed me to kind of just sit back and like, yeah, I mean, I kind of want to be your friend, but if you don't want to, I'm good. Yeah, I got this girl I could call anyways. So it's like there's just this energy in me that changed and it made me a lot more magnetic. Yeah, and people want to be around me now. So that was one. In the context of friends, it changed my ability to initiate. So now I'm out with my friends. We play basketball. I'm the guy who gathers all the strangers on the court and says, "All right, come on, let's play." Right? I'm the guy oftentimes that'll pick the venue, that'll lead the guys to the next venue, that'll try to facilitate. I guess I've become the facilitator in my friendship group. So that's one category. Second category would be with my parents. I'd say with my family. I'm able to truly take time out of my day, out of my week, and spend it, put it with family members that before were kind of just an afterthought to me. And it's sad to say that because these are people I'm blood related to that won't be on the earth for a few more decades. And I would intentionally avoid time with these family members because I was so focused on getting laid. That's just, I just have to put it so transparently. I'd have my aunt inviting me out for, oh, I'm in town. We got this crab curry that we're making. Oh, I'm sorry, I have plans. But in reality, the plans were I was trying my best to get laid and trying to go out that night on my own to a bar or something and hit on girls. And I couldn't be asked to go eat crab curry with the family because I had something that was more biologically urgent to take care of, which makes sense. And so I don't fault guys for that, just like I don't fault my prior self for that. But it just was not a position that I wanted to be in. Yeah, that's not every guy is in that position, and I knew that, and so I wanted to be in a different position. So that's what it changed for me as far as my family is. Now I'm able to just go hang out with them. Now I'm able to actually prioritize family over dates. Let's say I meet a girl and she wants to go on a date and I like that and I like her, but I don't like her enough. Well, I'd rather go and play pool with my dad. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I've had my cousin after a filming session ask me, "Oh, so what are you going to do? You going to hang out with that girl tomorrow?" And I've gone, "No, actually, I'm not even going to text that girl. I'm just going to go play pool with my dad tomorrow." And it's just the greatest, most liberating feeling ever to no longer be so attached to the validation. No longer be so attached to what I used to be chasing. And yeah, that was just a big change for me. So what I said, friends, I said family, and then the last category I had in mind was just work. It has changed my professional life as well. So I'm more assertive at work. I take less shit from people. I can recognize that all this shit is fake, anyways, even in the context of work, right? So somebody will be in front of me, and maybe they won't like the apartments, or maybe they won't like. They'll say they look tacky, they won't like the exterior, whatever. But I can just internalize all of this negative feedback and not really let it bother me anymore because I'm not attached to this job. This job doesn't define me. I'm here to get a commission check anyways. I don't want to be working for these people anyways. Now that I've freed myself from my own bullshit, I can look around and go, oh my, I can see the matrix of this whole 9 to 5 life and how they're siphoning off so much money that I'm generating for the company, and they're giving me a 0.5% of what I'm generating. And it's just really opened my eyes. And this is through cold approach. Yeah, it's like that's why we talk about you get so much more than the date. Yeah, guys come to us wanting the date, not realizing just how much it's going to change. And I'm here telling you it's changed my assertiveness in my professional life. And that's not something I can really measure. That's just something that I've noticed and other people have noticed in me. So yeah, it's made me an even more wicked salesperson. So yeah, that's my answer there.
Yeah, I like viewing it as this like reactionary movement against mediocrity, because the way that I viewed it is, if I can do this thing and get really good at it, then what other doors is that going to open? And I think the guys who've got that mindset are the guys that go the furthest. Like when we spoke last, you were like, it's the most aggressive form of self development. And I think that when you realize like the getting women and getting dates is such a small part of what it is that we're doing, it almost becomes less important. It minimizes the importance that you place onto attracting women. It's like, I'm going out there today because I'm investing into the identity of the version of myself that I want to embody 1, 2, 3 years from now. And it completely shifts the way that you show up in everyday interactions. And you mentioned about being more assertive. I think that's something that is lacking from a lot of guys, especially the guys that I work with, guys who on paper you would imagine are very assertive in everyday life, but they're not. So like, okay, it's developed you as a man. It's made you become more assertive. What do you mean by that?
Jeez, I just go after what I want. You imagine the kind of guy that sees the girl that he likes and is able to turn and just shut his brain off and walk over, even though he's feeling all of these emotions that we all are going to be experiencing. That is the kind of guy that, let's say, for example, takes less shit at work. I'll have somebody that recognizes that I'm at work. They recognize that I'm a salesperson. And so oftentimes what goes hand in hand with customer service is this fake kind of a smile and this fake persona where I need to be a yes man to anything that they say. And so oftentimes I'll have somebody come in for a tour and they're asking me to see 7 apartments during our 1 hour appointment, or they're asking to see 13 apartments and our maximum, we're recommended to show two, right? And I'd be happy to show as many as gets me the sale, but there is a threshold where somebody's just taking advantage of my time, taking advantage of my personality. And so that's what I mean, is just little moments like that where I can just stand my ground and be assertive and tell them, oh no, sorry, we've got an hour appointment. I got somebody coming after you. I got to respect their time also. Just little moments like that. Prior to cold approach, I couldn't do that. Or we'll have somebody come into the office and they're a little aggressive. Maybe they found a cockroach in their apartment, and now they're in the leasing office making a scene with all the new future residents over a cockroach that they found when they probably left the pizza box out anyways. And so just the ability to just tell, hey, we've got a resident services office next door. Just do me a favor, walk over there, tell them the exact same thing. They'll be able to help you out immediately. We probably get pest control out there today, and just like assertively de-escalate the situation, right? Like assertiveness, I used to associate with being rude. I used to associate it with being like like the opposite of nice guy, Mr. Meanie, right? And now I look at it and I go, no, it's really just like standing your ground and going after what you want still, yeah. And oftentimes, like I guess a way to put this is like that sentence there, going after what you want and living life on your terms, that does kind of come at a cost sometimes, which is other people that don't agree with you are going to assert their opinions. And so it's not rude to assert yours right back, right? It's not rude to stand your ground. It's not rude to disagree. And that's what I'm learning over this whole year and a half, removed from our time in Poland. Same with friends too. I've noticed. I think I was a big pushover with friends prior to cold approach, where um, because I wasn't getting the results with women, I felt as though I had less to add to the group, because I wasn't the guy getting dates lined up for all the guys in the friend group. I wasn't facilitating. I wasn't the one creating plans with different people. So I felt as though I had less leverage in the friend dynamic, and so I'd be a little more of a yes man. I'd kind of go with the flow. I wouldn't be the person to initiate plans, and if somebody was, let's say, trying to pick on me, for example, I would kind of let it slide in the name of like, oh, but we're friends, this kind of thing. Whereas now, if that kind of thing happens, that's already happened to me since learning cold approach, and I've never spoken to the guy again. Yeah, simple as that. It's like I think one of these guys tried shoveling away my date right in front of me. Just never spoke to the guy again. Yeah. So once again, an example of assertiveness now is less about confronting the guy and being violent, and more about removing the guy from my life. So assertively exiting the person from my life, I'd say, is another example. So yeah, that's what I mean. And it's still very much a work in progress. I see guys like you, other people on the internet, that they seem to have this way more developed than I do. But I think I had a very late start because of society, because of my beliefs growing up. It took me 22 years to realize I was allowed to assert my own opinion in public. And then once we learned cold approach, now a year and a half removed, yeah, just my personality has changed so much. So that's what I mean by assertiveness.
Mm. It's late start. That's funny. I think one of one of our guys, we'll call him Graham. I remember working with him, 50 years old, never had a serious relationship in his life. I think he would be somebody who would laugh at that. Like 22 years old, like I wish I'd have started when I was 22, you know? And then, yeah, I remember working with him in Poland as well, actually. Great country. And then, yeah, within a week of us working together, he got himself a girlfriend who was 25 years old, half his age. And it was to do with the permission. I think that's a big part of this process. It's giving you the permission to act in a way you've always wanted to act, but have been too scared to try. I think that once you can confidently go over to women, declare your truth in a non needy way, like the doors it opens to the rest of your life, it's like, oh, where else am I playing it safe? Where else am I not truly showing up as my most authentic self? And then, you use the example at work. And I think it's just like, it just changes the way you show up in every environment, like especially in the relationships that you form as well. Like how have you found that? Like obviously you're going out there, you're meeting girls, you're having dates, you might be having these like short-term relationships. Like how have you found the overall ability to manage relationships, maybe multiple relationships, now that you've actually tapped into this abundance mindset? So like abundance, not always having, but knowing that you can have. How's that affected the way that you show up in your relationships with women now?
Yeah, it's affected it a lot. I think this was actually a great question, something that I'd like guys to hear the answer to, because there's two different things to talk about here. So my ability to manage it like logically, incredibly easy now due to cold approach. But I'd say emotionally, it's a completely different answer. So logically, I am able to cut a girl off when I want to, or when I feel the need to. If let's say a girl is asking me to do more than I want to, like, oh, come and meet my friends, oh, come to this birthday party with me, oh, let's go out, this and that. And let's say I just simply don't want to, based on here go the percentages, right? Based on the ratio of how much I like her, and how much she likes me in proportion to what she's asking me to do. I can easily just look at that and go, no, I don't want to do that shit. No, this girl would rather just come right over, or she wants to come over after having one drink with me. I'd rather not do all of this. Logically, it's very easy, and that's simply because of the abundance part. That's simply because, oh, I know I can generate another date. But emotionally, that's a bit different. Yeah. So, like, let's say I actually develop somewhat of a connection to a girl. Well, then it actually becomes a bit more difficult for me to break that off, as easily as, let's say, a girl I've only seen once or twice. And so that's something I'm actually still navigating, and something I did want to share also. Yeah, it's just that, like, yes, the ability to manage multiple relationships does not mean that I'm encouraging it. In fact, that's not the case for me at all. It's not like I've got five, six different girlfriends that I'm all seeing on a weekly basis. For me, I actually prefer one girl that I like seeing often, but then to have the flexibility to go and see others if I want to. That's really the key for me. So this skill set has allowed me to identify women that are okay with that scenario. Yeah, maybe it's not their ideal. Yeah, maybe they'd prefer their Prince Charming who'd marry them, but maybe they're in a phase in life, let's say college, or let's say young professional, where she's not looking for a husband yet. She's not looking to have kids yet. And a guy like me actually fits into her lifestyle just as good as a girl like her fits into mine. So when identifying women like that, it's actually great for me because they know what's up, I know what's up. We could actually be very upfront with each other. I mean, that's the case for me now as well. That's something to add. Cold approaches allowed me to be completely honest and transparent with women about my intentions, about where I'm taking things, where I'm not taking things. But yeah, just the ability to, like, be able to have these conversations with these girls. I even have a video up where I talked about having one of these conversations. It's allowed me to pretty much cultivate the exact kind of relationships that I want. Yeah, which is a woman that I actually like a lot, that I can see consistently, with the ability to, oh, there's this girl that wants to go on a date over here. Oh, I just met this girl while I was filming content. And so, yeah, I just think that that is a really cool portion of this, something that I was hoping I got out of our time together. And it definitely worked, I mean, better than I was hoping, as far as my ability to manage relationships. So, but I did want to make that distinction, which is guys might see this skill set and think logically, right? Because their emotions aren't there yet. They're not actually doing the act. So logically, they're just going, they're watching, they're going, once I build this skill set, I'm going to have seven different girlfriends in seven different cities. I'm going to be managing all of these relationships. And it's actually, you actually have to look at this as like what are you paying as far as your time too? Is it even beneficial to be in all of these relationships with all of these women? Or if you find a woman that you like that, quote, validates you just enough, right? Like, let's say the girl that you're just head over heels attracted to, you like everything about her, she likes you, you're really attracted to each other, your personalities mesh well together, you enjoy spending time together when you're not having sex. Like, these are all very important things. So it's like you can have your cake and then, in my case, eat it too, which is still not, still be able to be upfront with that girl and say, I like everything about you. I'm just not in a phase where I want a girlfriend right now. So if you want to end things here, I totally understand it, and there's no hard feelings. If I were you, I'd probably do the same thing. Yeah. But if that girl still wants to see me, then it's created this amazing dating life for myself. Yeah. And so it's just an interesting topic, interesting question.
Yeah, and I think that the way that you frame it and the words that you're using, like whether people want to accept it or not, like relationships, seduction, dating, it does all come back to sales, right? You make sales when you're not attached to the sale. It's like you being able to lead with full authenticity and being like, hey, listen, this is what I would like to happen. If you're not cool with it, I understand. If I was you, I wouldn't buy either. Like that's an incredibly compelling offer because it's like you're already handling the objection before it's even come your way. And it just radiates abundance. It's like if you're not cool with this at any point, feel free to just leave. And it's like that is the healthiest relationship that you'll ever create. Most relationships are based off of scarcity. Most loyalty is based off of scarcity. Most people get into relationships not because they want her, but because they just want someone. So like if you can be that differentiated person who can be like, listen, I really enjoy spending time with you. If at any point you don't enjoy this ride anymore, then you can get off. And I'm not going to criticize you. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be sad. Maybe you will. Maybe a part of you will be sad. I think that's human nature. But like, you're giving her full permission to leave. And I think like that is the greatest gift you can give to any human being, whether it's in a sales relationship or romantic relationship. It's if at any point this service no longer benefits you, let me know and I'll cancel the subscription ASAP. It takes guys decades to ever come to that realization, and most never even get to actualize it. So to have got to that stage at such a young age, to be like, and just have like the emotional intelligence that it actually takes to be able to give people like the full ability to make a decision which benefit, like, I think if people actually understand that proposition, it will transform the way that they actually enter relationships, because it's when oftentimes people be like, I want you, but I don't need you, right? But what does that actually mean? It means that you're okay to live your life if she's no longer in your life. And like to actually be able to offer that and verbalize it and then deliver it, like I say to people, it's not what you say, it's not how you say it, it's who you are when you say it. And now you've got to that stage in your life where you're the version of yourself who can actually deliver those words and you actually mean it. And that's the difference between somebody who's just a part-timer with this and someone who's gone all in with it. I think a lot of guys, they just want to have a casual relationship with cold approach. That doesn't work. You did 30 days. You did 30 days with me. And like that's why you're able to develop the skill. Most guys are like, oh, I'll go out for a weekend. 8 months later, I went out for one weekend. Oh, I'm not getting any results. I've got a 0% fucking result rate. You can't have a casual relationship with cold approach. If you actually want to learn this skill, you have to go all in with it. And then I think like a person like you, the shining example of what happens when you go through and you go all in with it. So I think that's really cool. I think now that you're in that position where you can actually provide that proposition and like literally be okay without these people, I think that's a great place to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing while we're still on this topic, which is you broke that down so perfectly. Yeah, it is. I want to remind guys that that whole story that I just talked about, it is directly as a result of being able to walk over to the girl. That is the only reason that I can say that sentence to a woman. And I'll break down exactly why that is. Yeah. The girl that I'm talking to, I'm telling her, oh, look, I like you. No worries if you don't like this situation. I completely understand if you want a boyfriend. In fact, it sounds like you kind of do want a boyfriend. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to provide. Like this entire conversation that I've had with different women at this point, this is all as a result of my ability to walk over to the girl. Because if I know that I can generate other dates elsewhere, then like Kristian just mentioned, I'm no longer attached to this one girl. Even though she's so hot, even though she's just my type, I know that there are 7, 8, 10 other ones down the street. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's just the reality. There are a lot of beautiful women in the world in San Francisco, a big city like San Francisco. So the my problem used to be that I could recognize there are a lot of cute girls, but I couldn't do anything about that, right? So when I was finally able to, oh my God, this one likes me. Wow, I was finally able to corner one into liking me, sad as that sounds. Then I didn't want to give her up in any circumstance. So even though I wanted to still explore my other options, I wanted to make sure that she was still secure and still wanting to see me and only me, because I was worried, well, if she goes and sees another guy, she might like him better than me. Meanwhile, I'm going to be left high and dry because I'm not sure how to go and make any of these other dates happen, but I'm still going to try, right? And that was just such a pathetic place to be in life, where I'm lying by omission to the girl that I like, to the one girl that actually likes me, because I'm so worried about relinquishing my other options, even though at the time there weren't even other options. But now I'm in a position in life where I can look at that same girl and go, God, like you're everything that I want, but I just don't want a girlfriend right now, and it's not even, there's nothing that that you can change about yourself or should want to change that would change my mind. It's just a phase in life that I'm in. But what am I really saying to that girl when I say that? It's just, you know what? I really do like you, but I'm not willing to give up all of these other dates that I still want to go on, all of these other experiences that I still want to have in order to give you the full boyfriend experience. But I recognize that you're a great person and you deserve the full boyfriend experience. So if I can't give that to you, I think that you should find that somewhere else. And the last thing to add here is it's been the weirdest shift because now that I am able to tell girls that they are just free to go whenever they want, they stay longer than ever now. And it's just the most backwards thing ever. Where now they seem more like just 10 times more attracted to me when I could just lay it all out like that. And it's so funny because what I was afraid of before happening when I said this is I was afraid that if I was just this transparent with the girl, she would say yes immediately and just go find her boyfriend. And now that I'm actually encouraging her to do that, it's like, no, she wants to stick around nowadays. So yeah, what an interesting shift that happened. It's definitely
Well,
teaching me a
well,
lot.
you've almost become a relationship coach for her. Like, if you actually think about it, it's like you're giving her dating advice, which is actually really like quite a cool concept. It's like, hey, listen, if I was in your position, here's what I would do. Maybe you send the Google Doc over. Maybe you send her a link to your Calendly so she can book in a free consultation. Like, you're essentially giving her relationship advice, which I think allows you to detach from the sale completely. Because it's like you're just able to give her a very emotionally detached perspective, and you're like, listen, if you want to continue doing this, here's what the deal's going to be. If you want to get off the horse at any point, then that's okay as well. Here's the benefits, here's the negative. Like, so I think that's really cool, like the fact that the women that you're in a relationship with now, you essentially function as like a recurring crossover character in their lives, but you also offer them very succinct, practical dating advice. And none of them can ever come back at you and claim that you presented yourself in a way that you didn't. It's like you're just transparent from the start. And I actually think that is one of the best ways to just unfuck your dating life completely, is just being transparent from the start. Like, this is me, this is what I want. I don't want a capital G girlfriend right now. I'm looking more for whatever you're looking for. If you can just be transparent from the beginning, then it just saves you so much hassle and so much emotional energy. I think the problem that guys face is they just don't know what it is that they actually want. Then they're not transparent about their intentions. They pretend that they're going to be a boyfriend to this woman, and then they like do whatever, and then they're like, oh no, it was like no strings attached, and she's like, yeah, but you were just never honest with me from the get-go. It's like the fact now, because of the abundance mentality you've developed from cold approach, you know that at any given moment, if the relationship turns to dust, you can go outside, you can meet new people, you've got your phone book flooded with more girls who want to go on a date with you. That gives you the abundance. And now it gives you the ability to choose. You know, it's like you are the selector rather than the selected, even though you're the one going over to them in the first place. I actually think that's quite an important, uh, like maybe conversation to have, because I think like there's pockets of guys who think that walking over to a girl, approaching her, and giving her a compliment is in some way low value, right? In some way, it puts that girl on a pedestal, and now like you almost appear beneath her. But like, I think if you approach the approach in the right way, it's one of the most masculine acts that you can actually take. But I just wondered if you'd put any thought into that, because I actually understand that argument. And I think for a lot of guys who try and learn this stuff on their own, it does come across as a low value, supplicating activity, because usually the compliment is coming from the wrong place. It's usually like, I'm going to say this thing in the hopes that you like me, rather than, hey, I already feel great in myself. Just saw you look amazing. And just by giving you that compliment, it already makes me feel good. I don't need anything else from you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I'd say in order to blow this entire argument apart, because I think it's really silly, I would say that I would completely own both of them. which is I think I've done both approaches. I think I still to this day do both approaches, where if I see a girl that still to this day, I see her and I get nervous and I think, whoa, this girl's out of my league. This girl's hotter than any girl I've ever been on a date with. Then I do feel as though when I walk over, it's less of a there is a bit less confidence because the nerves are turned a bit up more, the confidence is turned a bit down more, and so I'm in front of the girl. It probably does come out a bit needy. I probably do. My voice goes up, the inflection, and maybe as she's walking past, I'm going, "No, you're walking away," and somebody sees that from the third person, they would look at me and go, "Oh, this guy's low value." Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's really hard for me to care about these guys' labels because I've found so much success with this, right? Like the exact opposite is just as true, which is I've walked over to a number of women in the most confident manner possible. In fact, some of these women being women that I still thought, whoa, this girl's out of my league. But there was something about me that day. Maybe I'd done 5 approaches already. Maybe I was out with my boys and they were next to me while I was doing the approaches. Or maybe I'd crushed a gym session and I was able to walk over to the girl that I thought was out of my league, get a date with her. And that same act from the same guy would now be considered, oh, high value because I was able to do it in a very non-needy way. So at the end of the day, I think I say fair play to any guy who is able to pick up his nuts and walk over to the girl. And I claim that I think the guys that are claiming to think that this is quote low value are still just using this as an excuse instead of just telling us, hey, I'm scared to do it. Yeah, because it's like even if it was quote low value, who says we can't do low value activities in order to line up our dates? Whatever that term even means. Yeah, like what does that even mean? In theory, I'm the most low value guy ever. I was just unemployed for 9 months. Yeah, 2 months ago, I had a 9-month dry streak of employment. I am Mr. Low Value. I'm still in credit card debt. Yet my dating life is 10x these guys, right? Mr. Low Value right here. So it's like guys can throw around these labels as much as they want. The point is, if I see a guy that's willing to walk over to the girl in public, he gets my respect. It doesn't matter if the world would look at him as Mr. Low Value. In fact, even if that was the case, if this guy was, quote, Mr. Low Value and he was still walking over to the girl, I would look at GigaChad and I'd go, huh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is your excuse now? If Mr. Low Value is doing it, then what is your excuse? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it all comes down to like the actual result at the end of the day, because I guess it's like it's low value until it actually works, and then it's like you're crazy until it works, and then you consider the genius. So yeah, I think this is actually a massive sticking point for a lot of guys. It's just the fear of what other people are going to think of them. Like low value in whose eyes? So I think as if you actually have the audacity to go after what you want and you don't care about the opinion of strangers and you're not taking the opinion of the girl who you're approaching too seriously, I think that's another thing as well. Like I think a lot of guys, whether they're approaching a girl or they're dating a girl, oftentimes I think that we're all guilty of taking the girl too seriously. It's like we almost think that she is like the spokeswoman for all women worldwide. And like if we go over and we approach and she gives us a funny look, or we're on a date with a girl, maybe it's just a lack of compatibility, whatever it is. I think it's just easy for a lot of guys to pin their entire sense of self-worth on the opinion of one woman, when if you actually understand that it is called game for a reason. It's the same way that entrepreneurs approach the game of business. It's like, this is fun. This is a game. Like the guy who coached me in business, like, he's on I don't know what he's doing. He's like $370,000 a month at the moment from like his online education company. A lot of people would look at this guy and think like, oh, this guy's greedy. This guy, like, what? Like, why do you need to keep making more money? Now I just understand it. Like he's obsessed with the game of business. It's a game. It's like you see the number go up and it makes you feel better in yourself, and that's nice. So it's like if I think if guys can just view this as a game, I think it just stops them like just getting too emotionally affected by anything that happens. And then you can just start to play the game rationally. Because I find that with the guys that I work with, a lot of them, they're just way too emotional. It's like coaching women sometimes. I'm like, dude, right, cool. Like that relationship didn't work out. Get over it. It's fine. You've got this skill now. You can go out. You can talk to more girls. And as I'm saying that, I guess there's a caveat in my mind. Maybe this is a question for you. Is like, what about when you do just meet a girl who blows you away? You know, like what's going to happen when you do meet a girl and it's like, oh my god, you actually start to develop feelings for this person. Do you think that the abundance mentality that you now have will be transferred to her, if that makes sense?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I guess we'll have to wait and see, because once that girl does come along, I could say how I think I'd react. But emotions are a different thing. So I imagine if found a girl that just ticks every box, and it's a girl that I'm like, whoa, way like I thought this girl would be way out of my league, and it turns out she actually likes me more than any of the other girls. I imagine I'd react in a different way than if I go on a date with a girl where I'm like, yeah, she's cute. Yeah, I'd probably sleep with her, right? Like that's a completely different feeling, a completely different energy. So, and we'll have to see, because I've never claimed to be attached to this lifestyle either. This is just where I am right now at 24. Yeah, and to be fair, this is me at 24, where the first 22 years of my life was the opposite of this, right? So it's like I can barely get through enough fun in 2 years, right? I probably got a few more years of this, but point being, like, I don't even think there's a right or a wrong way to like for example, you've got a girlfriend right now, right? And I wouldn't be at all against that. It's like I don't think there's a right or a wrong way with any of this, but I think the key is that you give us the ability to now make that decision. Like that is it, whatever we want. Whatever we want, we want to be the guy that gets all the girlfriends, we want to be the guy with one really hot girlfriend, whatever it is. The point is not like now we're capable. Now we have the tools to actually make that happen. Before, it didn't really matter what I wanted. I couldn't meet the girl you're talking about anyways before having worked with you, right? Whereas now it's just like we talk about it. We talked about this a year ago in live streams. Every day is filled with hope and with wonder and with anticipation now. Yeah, and it's not to say I spring out of bed, I'm like, what girl am I going to meet today? But it's just knowing that every time I go outside, there's a chance I'm going to pass a hot girl, and there's a chance she's going to like me, and there's a chance we're going to go on a date. There's a chance she might be back here in my studio next week. And it's like, that was never my reality. It's just so crazy to even talk about on camera right now. Yeah. So, but yeah, just to wrap up your question, I'm just as curious as you to know what this would look like, because I haven't been in an official relationship where this is my capital G girlfriend since I lived with a girl back in 2021. And I've done so much personal growth. I've had so much personal growth since then that I think I'd show up completely differently in a relationship. And to be fair, I've never been in a official relationship where I was completely satisfied prior to getting into the relationship. So what we're describing here is a girl that I'm completely satisfied with prior to even making her my girlfriend. So I mean, I think that would change a lot for me. But we'll see. Time will tell. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think you're still early in your overall development. Yeah, I mean, how just like final question for me, like how do you think you've actually changed? Because I remember that first call that we had. It was weird. Like it's one of those things that just stays in my mind. Like I remember you booked in the call, you sent me your fucking LinkedIn profile. I was like, wow, this guy's trying really hard, man. This guy's trying really hard. Like this guy thinks I'm way more high value than I am. And I'm like, oh yeah, it was just funny. It reminds me when George first applied to work with me. He sent me an email on a Sunday. This was back when I had like 98 subscribers, and he's like, "Hey bro, sorry to message you on a Sunday. I'm sure you're busy." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "I'm not busy, dude. I'm not busy. I've got nothing going on. This is the first email I've had in 6 months." But yeah, I'm just if you could like go back to that time when you first reached out, to actually work with me, what was going through your mind, and what was it that you actually wanted, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, okay. So when I reached out to you, what I thought that I wanted was dates and a bunch of girlfriends. Just like every immature 23-year-old guy thinks that he wants the Dan Blazerian lifestyle and thinks that he can sustain that lifestyle. Yeah, like it's funny. Now just going on a few dates helps me understand testosterone and like the need for it to replenish, right? Versus like before that, because I didn't have all these dates I was going on. I just thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna be seeing this girl on Tuesday, then that girl on Wednesday, and then that, and then reality sets in. You get a skill set like this, and you try something like that, and you're like, this is actually unpleasant. this is actually like worse than not going on a date today. So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, law of diminishing return right there. But I thought that's what I wanted. I thought I wanted the Dan Bilzerian NBA player lifestyle where I'm just running through all these girls, and I thought that I wanted the highest belt notch count ever because that would make me more of a man and that would make me cooler in everybody's eyes. And that's what I thought that I wanted. And now I look back and I just wanted somebody to hug me back. Yeah, I wanted somebody to love me back. That's it. I just wanted the girls that I liked to like me back. And then when we went on dates and we got intimate, I wanted them to want to be intimate with me just as much as I wanted to be intimate with them. And after the date, right, next day, I wanted them to want to see me again just as much as I wanted to see them again. And yeah, it's just like I just wanted it reciprocated. I wanted it. I just wanted that love we talk about, that love, that validation. It's something I wouldn't have wanted to admit to myself before, but it's because it was lacking before, right? So it's always harder to admit. Versus, like, for example, the rich guy. The rich guy has nothing to prove when it comes to money. He's already got it all, right? So it's the poor people that need to flash the nice designer clothes and the flashy watch. So same thing applies here. It's the it's the romantically ignored people, or the romantically scarce people that need to pretend to have all this romantic abundance and have all these women around. Same thing I was doing with my roommates and my friends at the time. We'd all talk about, oh, we got girls around. Oh, we could have these rotation of women if we really wanted to. But let's just take another bong rip and play video games tonight. Yeah, we're cool. We can get all the girls we want, but let's just do this tonight. Yeah, or we'd go out to a bar or a club and we're like, yeah, we could go up to that girl, but she's actually not that cute. Let's just do our own thing tonight. And it's just all these lies, these fabricated lies. Same thing. That guy wants the same thing that I wanted. We couldn't admit it to ourselves. And now I can, right? Now I've actually got the romantic abundance. Now I've already been validated just far too many times to count. So now it's just like, yeah, that's what I wanted all along. I wanted a girl to like me back and love me and just have this intimate experience with them and be able to do this consistently. Most importantly, not have this be a one-time thing where this happened one time in July of 2023, but to have this happen consistently throughout my life now. And so you imagine you unlock a skill set like this, and it's hard to foresee not having a romantically abundant dating life in the future. Yeah, like I'm wondering at what age this will taper off for me. And it would have to be like either a very traumatic event happens where I lose I lose a limb or something, or a brain injury, or I just get 80 years old and I look like dust. I don't know when it would taper off, but it seems like it's only getting better. Yeah, each and every week that turns over, I've got a new video or a new live stream, and it's just, yeah, it just keeps getting better and better. So yeah, I forgot your initial question though.
No, you answered it. I think that's a really. I think that was a great answer. It's interesting actually. I was at the Muay Thai gym today, and before I do my one-to-one classes, there's like a group coaching class, and there was this American guy speaking to this guy from the UK, and the American guy maybe was about 45 years old, and they were actually talking about the topic of dating. So I was just kind of like, I had one ear listening to their conversation, the other ear I was like listening to one of my coaches, but like, long story short, he was he was saying how difficult he found the dating in Bangkok. And like in my mind, I'm like, dude, like if you're struggling in Bangkok, something has seriously gone wrong. And I was like, what is going wrong with men today? And then the more we talked, I realized he was so negative. Like, he just wanted to talk about the news and how difficult, like, just how difficult things were. I'm like, you can't see, like, you don't know what you don't know. And a part of me wanted to go over to him and start coaching him and be like, listen, dude, it's not the environment, it's not the location, you're the problem. It doesn't matter how much money you've got, it doesn't matter this, and this. You are currently a negative motherfucker. That's why no one wants to date you, right? Again, it's not what you say, it's not how you say it, it's who you are when you say it. But then it just made me think, like, however many billions of people there are on this planet, say 7 billion people, maybe like 4.5 billion people, like whatever, maybe those are men. I don't know the actual statistics, but it just made me realize how many people are actually in need of something like this. And a lot of people are completely unaware that they actually need this. Like, when I was 18 years old, I knew about daytime cold approach. I knew about the pickup space, right? But I always really hated it. I always hated the idea of being like some weird brain dead pickup artist. Like, there was just something, like, some stigma about it. I didn't like it. But like, just like listening to that guy's conversation, I'm like, there just must be so many men who are suffering in silence, who don't know what they don't know. And it's like, it just made me realize more and more that what we're doing right now, it has such a meteoric impact for so many people. And I think that's why it's so important to just have a long-term perspective with the content that we make, the approaches that we do, the conversations that we have. Like, this is like, for me, where so many guys are struggling in their lives when it comes to dating, because like the dating thing, it's like the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So it's like it holds a mirror up to who you are and where you're at as an individual. I was just like, fucking hell, there's so many people who are in need of what it is that we teach, but they don't know it yet. And it's like, I almost view it now as like, I'm making content for the people who might not know what they need, but a future version of themselves will find this stuff, and they'll find it at the right time. If that makes sense.
You know, that's, I mean, this entire story that you just gave explains why I decided um, to hop on board with the mission, why I decided to create my own content and stand beside you on the front line as we pave a way. It's because you're exactly right. I mean, it's just access. The guys that need this the most, they don't even know that it exists, and it's so unfortunate. Yeah, if they simply had access to this information, it would change their entire life. And I think a few months ago, Joseph, he put it in a great way, which is everything can be sorted in your life. Sure, money, sure, fitness, sure, fashion, sure, your looks maxed and your gym maxed. But, and I'll just put it very bluntly, yeah, if you're not getting laid consistently, if you're not getting laid at the cadence at which you would prefer, then you're still going to be dissatisfied in your life. And I remember I never thought too deep into why that was. Like, why does this area seem to hold way more weight than literally any other area of life? And it makes sense when you look at it from a biological perspective. And I remember this is what Joseph broke down in one of his videos a few months back, where he talked about like reproductive rights and the ability for like guys seem to want to be able to mate with the hottest girl, for example, just as is, just by virtue of being placed on this earth. And here I am, now I want the hottest girl, without having done anything, without having put any work into themselves, without having become the type of guy that is worthy of attracting that girl. Yeah. And yeah, it's just so interesting. It totally makes sense why this area feels as though it weighs so much more. Yeah, it's because it's literally biological. It's because if I can't get a girl to mate with me, then that means my genes are they're going to cease to exist, and this will be the last generation, right? And so it's like it makes sense why, like I guess here's a good way to put it, and I'm a breathing example of this, right? So I'm a guy who has his dating life sorted, where his other areas of life are not fully sorted. Finance, for example, right? My financially, I'm still in the hole, but my dating life is amazing, and I'm here to tell you that my life overall is fucking amazing. Yeah, and I've been in a position where I've had less money, where I've had a lot more money, and this is the best life I've ever been living, even though I have very little money. Yeah, even though I don't have the biggest muscle mass index. This is the my by far my favorite years of my life so far that I've ever lived was this past year. And it's because of the romantic abundance that this newfound romantic abundance that I'm experiencing. It's just so amazing. And so now let's compare this to the guy that has every area of life sorted, but he has a shit dating life. I've also been in that position where, let's say, financially, I was a programmer making six figures at 22 years old, fresh out of a window washing job, and I was also working remotely. Yeah, so I wasn't even have to report into the office, and that was actually one of the most miserable times of my life, because half the time I was even able to muster up the courage to shoot my shot is because I was either on the way to work or I was near the office on my lunch break. Now I was working remotely, so that took away all of those opportunities to meet women, even though I was barely capitalizing on them back then anyways, before working with Kristian. And then I was making a bunch of money where guys were saying, once you make six figures, the girls are going to start sprinting at you, right? And then I had found this look with this cool beard, and I got the nose ring, and I'm going, all right, so technically I look good, I'm making good money, but my dating life is still shit, yeah? And so life sucked then, even though I had maybe more areas of life sorted, for example, than I do right now, because I was missing this area, because I was lacking in this area of my life was miserable, in all honesty. Yeah, it didn't matter I was making 115K. What does it matter if I don't have anybody to share that experience with? What does it even matter, right? So Yeah, I just wanted to add that in there. Is it now is very clear to me why this area of life seems to hold so much more weight than other areas, and that's exactly why I wanted to jump on this mission. Is because sure, I was a programmer. Sure, people would look at me and go, "Oh my God, you could have had a career as a pro," and still maybe I plan on getting back into the industry. But the point is, the impacts that I was making by writing a few lines of code for some software. Yeah, at the time I think it was like healthcare software. It was like it was like Zoom for healthcare or something. And then before that, it was like employee tracking analytics, whatever fucking impact I would have had by being on a team of 7 engineers and creating this technology. It's not nearly the impact that I'm going to have by just plastering my face on the internet as a poster child of a guy that had a shit dating life and now has a better one, and just laying out the steps how I got here. I think that that's just way more valuable. I feel as though I've already touched way more lives in this last year and a half of putting out content that I have in my entire life. Whatever job I was doing, washing windows, serving at a restaurant, right? So yeah, it's just been a pleasure to be a part of this mission, mate. And this is something you all started, so or something you started. So yeah, excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, me too. And for the people who are curious, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I run this documentary channel. It's called Pull University. It's a channel where I just pick up a camera and I film my life. Started out, I was making videos more so tailored to like topics, and now at this point, I just here, cousin, hold this camera, let's go, and we walk around downtown doing socially free activities such as speaking loudly in public, something that I'm sure the majority of the viewers that are watching right now are too afraid to do, recording myself in public, and then most importantly, walking over to girls that I find attractive in public on camera. I did it yesterday with a fucking cane in my hand. Yeah, I ended up spraining my knee, so I had a cane, and I was walking up to girls with a cane. Yeah, guys are talking about, oh, I'm bald, I'm too short. Like, I'm just going to try to knock out these limiting beliefs one at a time. Yeah, maybe I'll just get extreme and shave my head one of these days. We'll see. But yeah, you can find me over there, Pull University. You can just follow along my journey. And then the second place you can find me, once doors reopen, we've got this underground community, this underground legendary space that we call the Entourage. It's for super high achievers that want to get good at cold approach, pretty much. Super high achievers, they want to max out their life in every area. And then the common thread among us all is that we all have the balls to walk over to the girl that we like. And right now we've only got like 50 members. So in theory, there's only 50 of us in the world right now, which is pretty damn cool. So yeah, doors are closed right now. We've already hit our capacity, but as soon as Kristian decides to reopen his doors and accept applications, then I recommend that you apply. So
No, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll link your stuff in the title and in the description, so people can click on that and they can cross pollinate and go over. They can watch your stuff. They can subscribe. They can like. They can comment. All that good YouTubey stuff. I know that you've got to move your car very soon, so yeah, I just wanted to say just a really big thank you because you show up to these live streams with me. Pretty much weekly at this point. You don't need to do it, but you do it, and yeah, I just really appreciate it. It's one of the strongest friendships that I've formed since we did our whole Warsaw expedition. And I thought that I was going to get into cold approach because I wanted to meet women. And honestly, the friendships that I've formed along the way have actually been way more meaningful and memorable, which has actually been weird for me, because I didn't grow up with any friends. I didn't grow up with any romantic option. Like it's just nice, now for me to actually have these conversations, work with people, inspire people, and now you're going on your way and you're doing your own thing. I just think that's fucking cool. So yeah, we'll do more of these in the future. But yeah, hopefully the guys like what you've got to say and they go over and they watch your stuff because I think it's really fucking cool.
yeah, wow, thank you, mate. It's all a testament to what you're able to teach me. So I really appreciate it. We'll do many more of these live streams. Certainly. Stay sexy.
All right, stay sexy. Bye.
Bye.